What is up, YouTube? Carter here. Got another video for you. We're going to be taking a look at this monstrosity, this behemoth, this monster flipper from PMP Knives. You probably know them. They're a little bit infamous when you come to overbuilt, ridiculous knives, and this is no exception to that rule. This is the PMP Grizzly, and you can see I've got giant hands. You can see how big this thing is. It is insane, and this blade is super heavy and super thick. Look at how thick that is. I'm trying to think, pretty sure that this is the biggest, heaviest knife I have ever owned. I have owned some large knives, guys. I'm a big, my roots come from giant knives, and I've discussed this before. I came up on giant knives when those were like cool and fresh and awesome. I mean, they still kind of are. Let's be honest, they still are, but not, to the extent that people kind of are into them ironically now. I guess you would say. I'm from an era when these were the coolest thing ever, and it was a giant race to see who could create the biggest knife. And this is the biggest, heaviest knife I think I have ever experienced. Part of the reason why I bought it, double slabs of titanium right there, and that thick stock, that thick blade. So PMP has done like wider knives than this and thicker knives than this, but I'm not sure if they've produced a knife that has more overall material than this guy here, because you got to keep in mind, like, yeah, it's thick. Yes, decently thick titanium slabs, but it's also a long knife. This is not a little guy. Let's get some measurements here. So 4-inch blade. I mean, if you look, tip, 4-inch blade, little over a 4-inch blade, almost 4 1/8. Overall length is what is this? 9 1/4. About 9 1/4 total length. That is huge. That is a big knife. Let's do some size comparisons here. We've got the Spyderco Dwarf Sit. I mean, the blade stock's pretty close, right? pretty close blade stock. Overall length is different, but blade stock's about the same. I kid. Obviously, I'm joking. Look at that. Just makes it look so small. What else we got? I'm just pulling random stuff here. We got a Lightning. Nobody ever compares anything. Oh, I got to get it in frame. Nobody ever compares anything to a Lightning. Maybe that'll be my thing. Maybe I will compare everything to a Lightning, because actually a lot of people have Lightnings, and you can kind of see. Ooh, let's do a weight comparison to the Lightning. That'll be fun. That's what I'm all about. Fun time. Ooh, what about this one? Strider AR 0.75. Dwarf Sit. Makes it look like a baby knife. Look at the blade stock. Makes it look like a baby knife. Look how wide that is. Insanity. Let's do a weight. Actually, let's do a weight on the AR, just because. Why not? 7.2. Definitely not a lightweight knife. But let's take a look at the PMP Grizzly. 12.3. 12.3 ounces. And then we got 3.7. 12.3 ounces. That is brushing up on 1 pound territory. I know it's a little ways off still, but like, that's closer to a pound than I ever thought a knife would get. Yeah, that is insane. So what is this? Why would you want this? Well, because it's cool, first and foremost. It's cool. It's actually really fun to flip. This blade has so much force behind it. When it opens up, it kicks your hand. Like, it's a tactile experience. It's different than any other flipper you're going to experience, except maybe a side opening automatic kind of gives you that sensation, but it's different. That's more snappy. This feels like something is punching your hand because of the size of this blade stock. And look how it closes, just like a guillotine. So this is running on washers, but it feels like It feels like bearings, just because of how heavy it is. It drops like a knife that's on bearings, but it's just because the blade is so heavy. Can you carry this? Yeah. Yes, you can. You can carry anything that you want to. If you're excited about it, you carry that MFer. I've done it. I've carried this. I mean, I'm not going to say that I've done it often, and I'm not going to say that I've done it with other gear on hand or maybe on a hot day in basketball shorts, but yes, I have carried this. You can see some of the snail trails on here. What number is this? Not a great one. It's like 180 of 200. So nothing fantastic. But, man, this thing is so much fun. So much fun, which is why I have not sold it. I sell a lot of knives, you know, for various reasons. I check them out. Maybe I don't love them, or maybe I think they're ridiculous and I want to get something else. This is one that I have held on to because it's so much fun. The only downside that I will say on this knife is the steel D2, which, you know, D2 is capable in a blade this size with this much material. D2 is fine, but just as a showpiece, I wish it had something a little bit better. S30V, I would be perfectly fine S30V. If they would have charged me another, I don't know, 50, 75 bucks, I gladly would have done that just to make me feel happier about owning this. But other than that, this thing is dang near perfect. Let's talk about it. I mean, you know, is this a review? It's hard to review something this ridiculous because what is the use case for this thing? You could bludgeon somebody with it. You could throw it at somebody and cause a lot of damage. It can cut. You've got a nice hollow grind right here. This is a compound grind. And like when you feel this, it is so thick. And then you realize that it's even thicker here. Like this is, let's see, this is just a wedge, you know, but this will cut, kind of. I mean, not really slice, but it'll cut through things. Super tough tip. Look at that. But yeah, this will cut, not well. It doesn't cut well. I've cut some stuff with it, and you know, it cuts like a sharpened pry bar, and that's about it. A lot of thick material to get through, and this primary bevel is very short. You know, if this was a full flat grind, you know, it would actually cut quite well. But this is a very short primary bevel on very thick stock. So definitely not a slicer, but yes, it can cut. You can cut with anything that's sharp, essentially. Really well machined. You can see those edges. Everything is just sharp and crisp. Everything is very, very even on both sides. You have the nice satin finish with the grind lines. I really, really love the design language of this blade. Looks nice. You've got kind of a bead blasted groove here. I believe there was a little bit of fighting between Medford and PMP on this knife. Medford got his panties all in a bunch because he thought this was similar to the Praetorian, just because they're both giant knives with a groove in it. I don't know if anything ever happened with that back and forth or issue. I didn't look into it too deeply, but I know there was something there. And see the logo right there. You've got some jimping. It's aggressive, but with a knife this big, I mean, grip is not going to be your issue at all. I mean, you've got this huge choil right here, so much to hold on to. This is not going to slide around, and you're not exactly going to be doing detailed cutting with this thing, but the jimping's there, and it's pretty cool. You've got a lockbar insert, which is awesome. I wanted to check out the angle of the lock face, but it's hard because it's hidden behind this flipper here, and you just really can't get a good look at it. I mean, you can look at it from the top, but you can't really get a look at the angle because you can see that the pin there, the stop pin, which is the closed and opened stop pin, look how deeply recessed into that flipper tab it is right there. The flipper tab almost wraps around that stop pin. You've got some moderate milling on the handle here, just some accoutrement going on. And look at this, they even have a titanium backspacer with kind of a glass breaker, even though you can't break glass with titanium. So really, I guess it's more of a Kubotan type thing. Milled pocket clip, PMP Grizzly, look at all this hardware, as though you need this many screws to hold this together. I mean, there's no flex on this thing at all. It is so solid. It is the most solid knife that I have, probably, maybe, or maybe I just said that right now because it sounded good. Lanyard loop, just such a cool knife, and honestly, I like the look of it. I think it looks really cool. It's way too heavy, it's way too thick, it's way too big, but I like the silhouette of this knife. I think it looks really nice. Reminds me of a lot of other things. You know, you see this and you do kind of think maybe Medford a little, but not in like an explicit way. You think Strider, you think all of these other designers, but nothing on here seems copied or stolen or lifted. You know, this seems like an original design, and it's just taking some cool features and some cool design pointers from some other very well-known makers. PMP does some really cool stuff. Personally, I think his crazy overbuilt stuff is the most exciting and the most fun. He does some more practical flippers and, you know, more useful everyday carry type knives, EDC knives. But this one is my favorite. I picked this up, the flamed titanium. It's got all kinds of cool milling around it. Really, it's a treat. It doesn't look very complex, but it's one of those knives where the more I look at it, I just notice little details. And I like how they figured out how to make this lock bar, how it kind of curves up. It goes around the pivot, goes all the way up here. You know, these kind of decisions I think about as I look at a knife, because I see them in front of their little CAD program, figuring out how do we have this giant flipper? How do we have a lock face? How do we make this integrate with that? How do we make all this work? And they did. You will notice that there is no beveling inside of this lock bar on either side, but because it's so thick, you don't need it. You don't need it. There's plenty of room to get your thumb in there because of how big this gap is, because of how thick this blade is. No lightning holes, no... oh, I take it back. Oh, man. Whoa, I almost gave some bad information. There is lightning pockets on this side. I said that assuming that why would they bother when you have a knife this ridiculously heavy? Why would you even care to try to reduce weight? But they did. They did. It has lightning pockets in the titanium right there. But it does kind of make it weird because it's very blade heavy. You can see the choil is all the way underneath this pivot, and yet it just goes forward. Like, does not... Balance point is about at the pivot right there. I would almost rather them not lighten this titanium, and let's see how heavy we could have gotten this thing. But anyways, really cool knives. Check out PMP Knives. Like I said, they do crazy folders like this, but they also do some more realistic flippers and folders, you know, that aren't as out there as this one. But like I said, I really like their crazy overbuilt tank-like stuff is my favorite. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Cool look at the PMP Grizzly. I'll catch you guys next time. Later.